Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to another review, or I should say re-review, of Fright Night 2. If you wonder why I have a DVD-R, because if you want the DVD, which is a shitty VHS pan and stand copy of the film, you gotta pay a shitload of money, like 80, 90, $100 or something. I'm not paying 50, 40, 80, 70 bucks for a shitty full-frame pan and stand VHS copy, but it's just a DVD by Artisan that's out of print. Fuck that. So I guess I'll keep my DVD-R, which I know this sequel has had rights issues when it came out. They only released it in 100 and some theaters, and I think the director and Roddy McDowall met with the people who were releasing this, and they had sort of a bad meeting, and then later on, he was one of the people killed by the Menendez brothers, who killed, I guess, their dad and their mom. They were sort of the head of the company. They were releasing this, and then the company went into turmoil because, the boss was murdered and by the boss's kids. So this film got shuffled around and what to do with it, and well, I don't know. Okay, just released it a couple hundred, not even a couple. Like, if I looked up, it was like 170, 160 theaters. Even that might be too much. The sequel saw a very limited release in the US by distributor New Century/Vista and producer the Vista organization. And TriStar released the film overseas. It was released on 148 screens. Thus, it only made $548,000 on its opening weekend for a total domestic gross of $2.9 million. Because I know there was also talk of how Roddy McDowall wanted to get Tom Holland back and do a Fright Night 3. But, again, the company who had Fright Night, and I think this was like before Fright Night 2 had come out. But, yeah. The Menendez brothers. I know there's that Fright Night documentary, which I did pre-order, like, it feels like a year ago. It was pushed back. It was supposed to come out on Halloween, but even then, it's overseas, so it's going to take probably a few weeks to get here, so I'd be lucky if it got here in November. Otherwise, I would have more info for you after watching that documentary. But yeah, this film didn't have a chance. The film was released on video cassette on a coffin-shaped VHS cover. Then in 2003, Artisan released it. The transfer of the DVD is criticized for being a low quality, apparently lifted from a VHS print of the film. And it's a pan and stand. A high-def transfer was created for TV airings. The transfer has been used to create widescreen bootleg DVDs and Blu-rays of the film due to the unavailability and low quality of the official DVD. Hell, I would love one of those bootlegs on a DVD or Blu-ray that's widescreen. I would love that. Instead of this fucking VHS, DVD-R, VHS, picture quality. I would love that. Can I have that? I like the film. But get into the film itself, because I think this is a bit underrated of a sequel. Not as good as the first one. Definitely a lot better than the remake or the kind of sequel to the remake, but not really. Directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who I thought did a good job. I like Stephen King's It and Halloween 3, which their director had done one he did before, one he did after this. I don't know why I keep showing this. There's nothing there other than Fright Night 2 in the corner. But I don't think this film is that bad. I like that Charley, the character, comes back. William Ragsdale. I like that Roddy McDowall comes back. Really enjoy his character, Peter Vincent. It's my favorite character Roddy McDowall has played. I thought the villains were fun. You had John Grease as one of them. He was the werewolf in the Monster Squad. He would also be in Napoleon Dynamite, among other films. Brian Thompson. He was a well, I don't know if you can call him a vampire. He was something where he would take bugs. He'd give you like the scientific name of them, and he's talking to himself, and he would eat bugs. And a lot of times it looked like he really put the bugs in his mouth. I wonder if those stories will be on the documentary. Like moths or beetles. And then when he gets killed, like all these maggots come out of his stomach. Then you have one who, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl or both, that has roller skates. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And then Julie Carmen is a female vampire who I remember from In the Mouth of Madness with John Carpenter. She did a good job as Regina, who you find out is the sister of Chris Sarandon's character from the first movie. I thought Traci Lind as a new girlfriend did alright. I thought she did fine. I did not mind her at all. The plot was interesting. Well, the part where the Regina's plan is to turn Charlie into a vampire because that way she can torture him for the eternity for killing her brother. It was interesting to see the main character go through being turned into a vampire, slowly turned to a vampire. Thought that was a nice twist to the lead character. Part of me wishes that Peter Vincent had more to do in the sequel. Because in the first one it made sense, it was a build-up, and he had a lot to do in the third act. Here, I just wish he had more scenes, like more stuff. He does pretty much get the final kill on the main vampire. And it's great seeing Roddy McDowall there. I just wanted to see... I just really like the character. That's why I would love to have seen a Fright Night 3 with him and William Ragsdale. Or if William Ragsdale didn't come back, have it from Peter Vincent's point of view. Totally from his point of view. That would have been great. I would love to have seen that. Apparently, Roddy McDowall loved playing the character, and I could see it. The score by Brad Fiedel at the end fits the film well. It has some really good special effects, especially in the second half of the film. Like when the Regina character is trapped in this elevator and Roddy McDowall goes down and opens it, and this great looking human/bat type creature of the face of Regina. Really like that look. Really good looking special effects. Or some of the deaths of these vampires. Like I said, when Brian Thompson gets his stomach ripped open and he falls back and all these maggots fall out of his stomach. Or the roller skating one. They grab this robe that's a religious robe and put it on, and it glows with this yellow, like golden stuff around the skin, and it melts, and it's a really good melting scene. I would say it's a step down from the first one because it has a little bit of pacing issues, particularly the first half of the film. I thought the way it opened up was kind of like, what the fuck? Where the psychiatrist, Charlie saw a psychiatrist and now he thinks it was a serial killer, not vampires. And, well, vampires don't exist. I don't buy it. I find it bullshit. All the shit from the first one. Even Peter Vincent believes that it was vampires, but this guy, with all the shit he went through, and the first one having an entire room with garlic and crosses and everything, seeing his girlfriend in the first film turn into a vampire, and now from this psychiatrist, which he wasn't which he later becomes a vampire, but he's not a vampire there because it's during the day, and I know there's a scene where the doctor's not in, so you get the idea that he was turned later on. But here it's like, it wasn't like a plan to make Charlie not believe vampires. It's not that. It's just, I thought that was a weak way to open up the film. It just makes you go, huh? He doesn't believe in vampires? Bullshit. My dick. So I thought that was stupid. Anyway, other than the way it opens and a little bit of pacing issue in the first half, and wishing to see more Roddy McDowall. I still really, in the first one, it definitely had, how do I put it? It had, I think it just had this momentum where things really felt they were ratcheting up. Where he sees a coffin, then it ratchets up. He hears a scream, then it ratchets up, and then he tries to get the cop, doesn't believe. The mom doesn't believe. The girlfriend doesn't believe. It's ratcheting up. He gets Peter Vincent, he doesn't believe. It's ratcheting up until this, they take him over to believe that he's not a vampire, Chris Sarandon. And then that's really like the start of the third act where the girl, his buddy gets taken and turned, and the girl gets taken and almost turned and slowly being turned, and him and Roddy McDowall in the third act. I didn't really see that ratcheting up. It kind of went like, instead of going like this, it kind of like does this. Maybe because of the structure of the script, I don't know. I mean, it seems like I'm complaining a lot, but it is a step down from the first one, but still, for a film that's not even out on DVD that you can buy, for a film that's not out on Blu-ray, it's a damn shame. It's still a well-directed film. William Ragsdale and Roddy McDowall do a good job again. Nice to see them together again. The new vampires, the pack of four, Julie Carmen, John Reese, Brian Thompson. I don't know the name of the fourth one. Some nice shots, POV shots of the vampires. Like a POV shot of a vampire following Traci Lind home. There's some nice camera work. I know one scene people make fun of is the vampire roller skates in this hallway at the college that's really smoky. The smoke thing didn't bother me because look at the first one. I mean, Roddy McDowall comes upon that house and the whole house is smoking as if it's on fire. It's just one of those scenes where, and there's even a moment where Julie Carmen turns in the mist, it seems, and is able to crawl into Charlie's room. And the roller skate thing didn't bother me because it doesn't focus on a roller skate and vampire doesn't have a fucking, Bozo the Clown nose. All we see is sort of this vampire that's just creeping up on this poor woman and killing her. And I thought it was a nice use of slow-mo, grabbing her, biting her in the neck, blood flying off and hitting one of the girl's books. John Grease had some fun moments. One moment where he tries to get the girl and he decides not to do it. And Brian Thompson goes, "You're supposed to bite her on the neck, asshole." "Oh, but I'm not hungry yet. I'm not thirsty yet." Or later on when John Grease is trying to pick on Charlie's girlfriend, Traci Lind, and this dog barking. "Yeah, he doesn't like me? Well, I don't like him either." And he turns in this nice looking wolf vampire face which stares the dog. And what does he say? He says like, "That's more like it, dude." John Grease was fun. And weirdly enough, I mean, like I said, he was the werewolf in Monster Squad. And in this one, which is like a year later, he's a vampire, but anytime he changes, is more of a wolf-like vampire. He's definitely more of a... I remember when I was a kid, I literally thought he was a werewolf. I didn't think he was a vampire. I thought, he's the werewolf of the group. Maybe he is, but no, he's supposed to be a vampire. It's just, as a little kid, I thought he was a werewolf. I'm like, he's a werewolf in Monster Squad. He must be a werewolf in this movie, but no, he's a vampire. And again, it's interesting that the lead character being slowly turned to a vampire, where sort of the seduction starts for Julie Carmen, and Charlie starts being not liking sunlight, having to use sunglasses more. There's a scene where he eats pizza, and the woman explains that there's garlic in it, and he pukes it up. And I thought it was still funny at times. When the psychiatrist goes, "You should go bowling." And Charlie goes, "Bowling?" And then later on, you have the vampires say the same thing, and they take over this bowling alley, and they just have fun during this. What's the song? I'm gonna wait in the midnight hour. And they're just fucking around, throwing themselves into the bowling pins. And John Reese, even without Brian Thompson knowing it, gives him a disembodied head to use as a bowling ball. I just Roddy McDowall doesn't seem like he has too much to do, especially in the first half of the film. And I thought, with a sequel, give Roddy McDowall more to do. We've established his character, but he didn't get to do much. Just goes to a party where Charlie sees on his mirror again that these are vampires. Talks to Charlie. William Ragsdale doesn't believe him. And then Peter gets fired once again from his job. So a little bit of deja vu. Like, he finds the vampire with his mirror again. He gets fired from his job again. He tries to kill Julie Carmen, who's now the new host of Fright Night. He gets put in this little institution with this guy who's like a big fan of his. Who's like, "Okay, Mr. Vincent, you don't kill your vampire now." I like that guy. I don't know what that guy's name is, but his little bit role was pretty fun. But, Roddy McDowall was able to get some stuff done in the third act. I just wish before he could have like more scenes. But you get a little bit like Traci Lind as the girlfriend. I think she does all right. She does fine. Like Amanda Beers in the first one, I think they both do fine. Traci Lind once in a while has a little awkward wooden moment, I will say, but overall I think she does okay. You have the weird scene where she's with the Charlie psychiatrist, which I guess by this point he has been turned to a vampire by the bad guys, and tries to kill Traci Lind, and a weird bit of humor where she states the psychiatrist and he over explains being state and finishes the job himself. I always thought that was a weird little scene ever since I was a kid. I'm like, that's strange. Or William Ragsdale and Traci Lind, they get chased around in this library by John Reese's character, and she like puts roses in his mouth, and William Ragsdale says, "Oh yeah, you were reading Dracula before. If you hadn't read the book," and I'm like, "I haven't read the Dracula book, so maybe someone can explain to me what do roses, flowers, whatever, have to do with putting them in a vampire's mouth and them burning up and running away? Is that something in the Dracula book? Can someone explain that to me? I'm being honest. What does that have to do with vampires? I mean, it's not, you know, do they hate flowers in their mouth or something? I mean, what's the deal? Do they hate roses? Again, I don't repeat myself, but is that in the Dracula book or something? I don't know. Someone let me know. But Peter Vincent and the girl gear up, and by this time Charlie's with the vampires, and they're getting ready to turn them fully so they can torch him for eternity. And it's cool. Peter uses the holy water on one guy who was an old friend of Charlie's, and he's actually the guy who in Star Trek 2 and 3, you find out he's Captain Kirk's son. That guy's in this as Charlie's buddy who's been turned to a vampire, and Roddy McDowall blasts him with holy water. And you get some really good makeup effects in the third act. The throat collapses and this liquid pours out. Charlie's able to shoot John Grease's vampire through the window, killing him. By this point, they put that religious robe on Charlie so that he can fight off a bit of the effects of vampirism. And just a fun finale. Regina turned all the candles, lighting them all at once, and finally the girlfriend's able to admit I love you, because before she couldn't say that, and takes the roller skate vampire's claws and hits Brian Thompson, and that's where all the bugs fall out. And there's some nice direction too. Like when Regina turns to her bat, flies out a door, the camera pulls right through the door and the hole of the door. And I thought there's some really good music work by Brad Fiedel as well in this finale. And like I said, the stuff with the elevator was fun. Peter getting this piece of glass and using the reflection to burn the shit out of the bitch and blow her the fuck up, and this big fireballs, or Peter sort of gets the last laugh on the big vampire at the end. And didn't end with a sequel bait ending, didn't end in a downbeat ending. It was just great to see William Ragsdale and Roddy McDowall come back. Roddy McDowall was greatly missed. Brad Fiedel, nice to see him back with the musical score. Thought the villains, I liked the villain vampire characters we had. Some nice direction by Tommy Lee Wallace. I think it's a fun sequel with some good special effects in the third act. I think the pacing could have been better. Like I said, the first one, it really does ratchet things up to the conclusion, while here, the kind of scenes that kind of falter, sporadic. Also, there's the Roddy McDowall. I wish he could have had more to do in the sequel. I do. I wish he could have had more screen presence. Not presence, screen time. He's got a presence, screen time. And also the way the setup is. William Ragsdale's Charlie doesn't believe in vampires. Bullshit, my dad. That's a weak way to set up the sequel. I think there's better ways to set up a sequel. Hell, do a switch. Have it from more Peter Vincent's point of view. And, someone moves into his place and it's a fucking vampire. Or someone on his movie set and it's a vampire and, wants to get close to Charlie, and, Charlie maybe likes this girl and doesn't want to believe she's a vampire, but Peter is the one who believes more it is a vampire. And someone that's working on his TV show, and I don't know. Anyway, despite my little complaints, because they are little complaints, I still really do like the sequel. I wish there was a good Blu-ray. I wish there was a Blu-ray. I wish there was a good DVD instead of this pan and scan VHS DVD-R I have. So it's a shame that it's not out. It deserves it. It doesn't deserve not to be available for people to watch. So Fright Night Part 2, I think, is a pretty decent sequel. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay tuned for more reviews. Later.